The email came at 9:42 a.m. By 9:43, his entire future felt erased. And that was how Daniel's ordinary Tuesday turned into the day reality hit him. Daniel Carter lived in Columbus in a modest two-bedroom apartment he once felt proud of. He was 34, married, father of one little girl who believed he could fix anything, from broken toys to bad dreams. For almost 8 years, Daniel worked for a logistics company that supplied regional retailers across the Midwest. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. He started as a warehouse assistant and worked his way up to operations supervisor. He believed in loyalty. He believed if you showed up early, stayed late, and solved problems without complaining, you'd be safe. But that Tuesday morning, the email subject line read, "Organizational Restructuring Update." He knew what it meant before he opened it. The company had lost a major contract, departments were merging, positions were being eliminated. His role? Eliminated. Just like that. No warning, no second chance, just 2 weeks severance and a handshake that felt rehearsed. He walked to his car slowly, holding the box with his desk plant and framed photo of his daughter, Lily. He didn't start the engine right away. He stared at the steering wheel. How do I tell them? His wife, Mariah, worked part-time as a dental assistant. Her income helped, but it wasn't enough to carry rent, daycare, groceries, insurance, and the student loans that still followed him from his college days. For the first time in years, Daniel felt small. Not because he lost a job, but because he felt like he lost control. That evening, he told Mariah. There was silence, then questions, then budgeting. They sat at the kitchen table with a notebook and calculator. Rent, $1,450. Car payment, $380. Daycare, $600. Utilities, groceries, gas. The numbers didn't lie. 2 weeks of severance would disappear quickly. Mariah reached across the table and held his hand. We'll figure it out. But Daniel didn't feel like a we. He felt like a failure. The first month wasn't terrible. He updated his resume, applied everywhere, local warehouses, distribution centers, corporate roles. He refreshed job boards daily. He told himself it's just temporary. But interviews were scarce, and when they came, the pay offered was lower than before, significantly lower. Some companies wanted him to relocate. Others wanted degrees he didn't have. He started waking up earlier than usual, not from discipline, but from anxiety. At 4:30 a.m., he would lie in bed staring at the ceiling, calculating worst-case scenarios. What if we lose the apartment? What if I can't provide? What if this is the best I ever had? The savings began shrinking. Credit card balances started rising. He avoided social gatherings because he didn't want to answer, so how's work? One afternoon, he picked up Lily from daycare. She ran into his arms shouting, "Daddy, you're early!" For the first time, he noticed something. He had been so busy working all those years that he rarely picked her up himself. Now he had time, but not security. That contradiction hurt. He wanted to enjoy the extra time with her, but in his head, bills were screaming. 3 months in, something shifted, not externally, internally. Daniel realized he had built his identity around his job title, operations supervisor, provider, stable one. Without that label, he didn't know who he was. He sat down one evening and wrote a list. What am I actually good at? Inventory management, team coordination, route optimization, cost reduction, training new staff. He realized something surprising. He didn't just have a job, he had transferable skills. The problem wasn't that he was useless. The problem was that he had only ever used his skills in one building. He reached out to a former colleague who had started a small delivery company. "Do you need help organizing operations?" he asked. The pay wasn't amazing, but it was something. He worked part-time consulting, reorganizing delivery routes, reducing fuel waste, implementing simple tracking systems. Within 2 months, the small company cut costs by 15%. Word spread. Another small business owner asked for help. Daniel wasn't earning what he used to yet, but he was building something. More importantly, he was rebuilding belief. The financial pressure didn't disappear overnight. There were still tense moments. One evening, their car needed unexpected repairs. Mariah cried quietly in the bedroom, thinking Daniel didn't notice. He did. And for the first time, instead of feeling ashamed, he felt determined. Not desperate, determined. They created a strict budget, canceled subscriptions, cooked at home more often, sold unused furniture online. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't Instagram-worthy, but it was real. 6 months after losing his job, Daniel made a decision. Instead of waiting for another company to validate him, he would officially register his operations consulting service. It felt risky, it felt uncertain, but so was depending on a company that could send one email and change everything. His income fluctuated at first. Some months were tight, some were surprisingly good, but slowly, steadily, it grew. A year later, he wasn't just surviving, he was stable again, not because life became easier, but because he stopped tying his worth to one employer. Here's what Daniel learned. A job is a contract, not an identity. Financial struggle doesn't mean you're irresponsible. Sometimes it means the system shifted. Waiting passively increases fear. Taking small action reduces it. Skills are assets, even when your position disappears. And here's the truth most people don't say out loud in America. Many families are one paycheck away from panic, but panic doesn't have to define you. If you're in a season of financial and career struggle right now, audit your skills, not just your resume. Cut ego before cutting effort. Build something small on the side, even if it starts as $100. Protect your mindset as fiercely as you protect your money. Hard seasons don't mean your story is over. Sometimes they mean your old chapter ended, so a stronger one can begin. Daniel once believed security came from a company. Now he understands something deeper. Security comes from adaptability, from courage, from refusing to let one email define your future. And here's the question that changed everything for him. If the thing you're clinging to disappeared tomorrow, would you collapse or would you discover who you really are?